I'm just going to come out and say it. No one cares about your street fight cred. No one. What fetches this up to me is whenever I see a martial arts video on YouTube, or I go through like Reddit or Quora, and the subject comes onto fighting or martial arts, inevitably there's the one guy or two, you might even be that guy watching this, who needs to send out a very embellished story, a very exaggerated story about the time you got jumped and you was able to fend them off with your street fight skills. And usually it sounds like it's straight out of the movie as well. I don't know what reaction you're hoping to get from that, because you don't sound like the ultimate badass. You sound like you've watched too many movies and you're almost certainly making it up. This comes about in my head because I was watching a video by Ramsey Dewey over there about romanticising street fights and street fighters. And even there, where Ramsey goes on, I think about 7 to 10 minutes tirade about this, even as he goes through it, and it's spelt out why there's no honour in street fighting, there's no prizes for it other than a long-fair prison sentence if you accidentally kill a guy doing it. Basically, it's not the best of ideas to do. Right. And even there, where it's all highlighted, you still have people wanting to share street fight stories. As if, one, we believe you, because no one does. No one believes you. No one believes you. Because it sounds like a movie when you write it. Yeah, no one believes you. Because you write it like you're telling your story to your mates at the pub. Right? And it usually sounds, it's written to make you sound like a badass. And people, that's just not how people are in the real world, sadly. You know, it always comes down to like, I don't want to fight, but I must follow my own peace, or I don't want to be this deadly. People talk like that. When they write it, it sounds like someone's fucking reading a script off a movie. You didn't say that, mate, because that's not how people act in real life. And if you do act like that in real life, stop watching too many movies. You come across as that like friend at the pub, you know, or I don't know if anyone from America is familiar with the show In Between Us, but there's a guy on there called Jay, and anytime anything happens, he's done it better, you know. Or you know, you go to Tenerife, he's going to Tenerife, sort of thing. And that's the kind of vibe you get from these kind of people. I don't believe for one second they've been in a fight. I believe they're living in a fantasy. Maybe martial arts breeds that, you know. Here's the thing about martial arts is, we go there, most people, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, learning to punch and kick people, brett boards, or do your kata, you know, your Ian Shodan, Keon Kata, that kind of stuff, or your Pumse. We learn all that, and we might learn that for years, 10 to 15 years, might people do this stuff for. I've been doing it most of my life as well. And I guess there is like, unless you compete, and I know a lot of martial artists don't compete, or I know a lot of them don't even spar. So I think it does build this like idea in your head that because you don't use it, you want to believe that you've used it. If you know what I'm saying, you want something like some sort of like cred to give to your friends to say that, yeah, you know what, spending all that money wasn't a waste of time. Spending my evenings, an hour, 2 hours on a night time wasn't a waste of time. See, I did use it. I did use, you know, Ian Shodan in some sort of street scuffle against about 8 ninjas. Because I think martial arts just kind of breeds that fantasy. Because let's look at it like this. I think most of the people here who got into martial arts because they watched movies. Watched Power Rangers, Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee kind of stuff. Or Chuck Norris. where he is also fighting bad guys in the street and, you know, looking badass while doing it. I think we kind of want to be that guy, don't we? Be real to a sense. But the problem is, life's a bit more boring than that. It's a whole lot more boring than that. Unless you like live in like a really crime-ridden city, and I do mean like in like maybe a third world country where you're gonna get stopped every day and mugged. But I don't think martial arts is gonna really help there. And I don't believe that you got into a street scuffle and beat up about 40 guys armed with guns by using your spinning roundhouse kick or wherever else. Uh, Obviously, I extend an olive branch out to if you work in security, but I don't count that. I don't count them as street fights, because if your job is to constantly pull yobs out of pubs, you're just doing your job. You'd be like a police officer telling you how many street fights he's had because they had to arrest someone. That doesn't count, mate. If that's what you're typing now, that doesn't count. If you work security, you've had to pull someone out of a pub, I'm not taking that one. I'm sure you have got stories there, but I'm not accepting that. I'm talking about just random people who's done a bit of karate or something like that, and they try to tell you about how they walked down the streets and got jumped. Or you get the counter to that, which is guys who've never done anything at all and try to tell you they've took out trained boxers with no training, no conditioning. It's just me and my manhood. I also don't believe that either. The only time that ever happened, mate, was in your imagination. In fact, just as a way to like close this all out, I'm actually going to pin a bit of a challenge to whoever actually watches this, all 10 of you. And that's one, I want to know if you know a guy like this. I want to know. Put it in the comments if you know a guy like this and tell me what story he gave. And better yet, go out and find me some of these stories on like Quora or Reddit, right? Give me the best, the most cringiest ones you can, and I'll read them out. You send me a message or something like that, I'm sure you can get in contact with me, right? I think my email address is still down below somewhere. Get in contact with me, send them, and on my next video, I'll read the worst ones out, and I'll even quote your name on it. I get a lot of entertainment out of it. There's no end to it, it's endless entertainment just reading this stuff out. Because as much as I turn around and say stop doing it and nobody cares, I do kind of get some morbid satisfaction of reading just how ridiculous someone can sound. I'm Steve Skelly, cheers for watching, and brew time.